Congratulations!
You finally made it from fluffy baby chicks to your young hens finally laying their first eggs.
There is so much to learn at this fun stage of their life, such as
what to expect from the size of their eggs, and when does that change?
What to expect from the coloring of young gals' eggs versus older gals' eggs.
What to expect from the hen's body changes after their first egg.
What to expect from their first molting period.
And what to expect when changing up their food.
Come with us and we'll show you all of this.
All right, Heidi, here it is. I know that this is really an exciting time for us because we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But look at this.
Aren't they beautiful?
We have 7 eggs, but you can tell, I bet you can tell which ones are the baby's eggs. That's the first observation we want everybody to know when it comes to baby chickens is when they first start laying, the eggs are noticeably smaller for sure. And they will lay right here. Well, see, here's one of the older girls. They will lay with the other hens in the same nesting. I like that, the older hens kind of show them where to go. And that's kind of cool. But they'll lay in the same nest. And of course, we know that chickens pretty much all lay in the same area anyway, like the same nest or adjacent nests. And that's just the normal behavior of chickens. But this is really exciting. We'll go ahead and pull these eggs and put them in our egg basket and observe them a little bit, see how they're different than the larger eggs from the larger hens.
We've gathered for you a collection of eggs to show the different stages and different sizes. We've got the adult egg sitting here and a baby's first egg and then baby after a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so these have been collected really recently, and we wanted to show the size difference between the adult eggs and the baby eggs. First thing you see, there are different colors here. We've got 3 different breeds of chickens, and chickens typically lay the same color egg within the breed. And there are small differences chicken to chicken, but this one here is the barred rock and the baby barred rock. This one here is a golden comet and the baby golden comet. And we actually have 2 separate baby eggs. This was the first one of the babies laid, and what I wanted to show was the pigment change between that one and the more recent one. You can see there's some pigment changes there, and it doesn't look as smooth. And I think sometimes what happens is the first couple eggs, the babies are kind of dialing in the pigment, and sometimes you'll get them spotty and everything, and it's just different that way. But you can tell more recently now the babies have eggs
very glossy and shinier.
It's a lot shinier, and you do notice that the eggs are shinier when they're first laying than later on, and that's part of the reproductive process, where as the chickens age, it takes more for them to get the nutrients and things in their eggs. The shells tend to be a little thinner as they age. Obviously, you want to give them food that continues to give them that nutrition to keep the calcium in the eggs. But thinner eggs, thinner shells, the pigment starts to kind of bleed out a little bit over time. You can tell, for example, this adult one here is a little bit of a different color. It's a lighter shade of tan than that one there. The same nutritional value, of course, just a little bit of a different look.
When you're using the baby eggs, you're just going to need to keep in mind that because they're smaller and very usable, that you may need to use 2 in place of 1 in a recipe. Of course, if you're just scrambling or frying them, then have at it. What any size will do. Now, the small ones are not the same as the fairy eggs that we see and that you may hear about.
Yeah, you may have heard of fairy eggs. Fairy egg is basically, and you'll know it when you see it, once in a while a chicken will lay an egg that's about the size of my fingernail, my pinky nail. It's very small. It's just, it's the size of a marble. And it has a full yolk in it, but it's not, it's sterile. It won't ever make a chicken, of course, and it's not edible because it's so small. It would be a drop in the bucket. But it's really neat, and we actually, when we get one, we'll put it in the kitchen. We'll just stick it there in the middle of the counter and watch it and gawk at it every time we go through. It's a little bit of a miracle.
So this is our second coop. We showed you a whole video on how we made chicken tunnels, and we were really excited when we moved the babies into this one to give them a lot more space. So we've added a chicken tunnel here. It's still just the first stretch, but super exciting. Check out that video. We'd love for you to see how we made this.
So these are our babies, and you can tell that they're a little different than the full-grown adults. They're a little sleeker, thinner. They're not as matronly. What I mean by matronly, the older chickens are wider. Their bodies definitely can produce bigger eggs. The eggs for the baby chicks or the pullets that are just starting to lay are very small, and they will stay small until after their first molt. The molt is the first time that they lose their feathers. Over a period of time, they start losing feathers, and especially you'll tell that their tail feathers disappear and they have kind of a rounded bottom. And that is a normal thing. At 18 months, young chickens will molt for the first time. At that point, their eggs will end up becoming larger just naturally as they become more matronly. They'll lay fewer of them. In the first year, you can expect that your young chickens will lay about 20 dozen eggs, about 240 eggs for most breeds, around that. Some a little more, some a little less. But in the subsequent years, they will lay 2 or 3 dozen less eggs per year, but they'll be larger. After the first molt, you should expect then to get on a schedule where the chickens will molt once every year, usually in the fall. At that time, they won't lay many eggs during their molt. Some actually lay no eggs during their molt, and that's normal. But when they come out of that, they'll have sleeker and glossier feathers. The eggs will be a little bit glossier and have better shells, and they'll be really healthy. So don't worry about no eggs during that period of time. So we have the younger barred rock and 2 older ones. These are the 2 older ones right here, and you can see that their combs, the top of their head, is a lot larger, that red comb at the top of their head, whereas hers, if you can see it, it's really very small, and it will be bigger as well as she gets older and more matronly. The last thing to consider when you're talking about transitioning your babies is their food. You've been using starter food, you've been using grower food, and maybe you've been transitioning a little bit to the grown-up food, but now is the time to do that. The babies start laying when they're 16, 18 weeks, and up to 24 weeks, depending on the breed of chicken that you have. Our Golden Comets, for example, started laying like at 17 weeks this year. And you want to get them into the adult food then soon after that. Different nutrient profile, and that's what you want. With us, we use fermented grain almost primarily, and that is what we switched them to. And they really started liking that and transitioning to that, especially when they saw our grown-ups in the flock doing the same thing. That will help them then stay healthy. It will help them have eggs that have the nutrient profile that we like, as well as have the shells that are stronger and the yolks that are yellower. That's what we've found, and you'll just want to transition to that immediately after they start first laying. It's so exciting when we get a boost in our egg production because our babies now have grown into the adult hens and are ready to become a productive member of the flock. It's so fun to see this process play out. We are so glad to be able to share it with you today. I hope that your process works as well as ours has. And from our homestead to yours, blessings.